I'ma get $1 million in the bank.
What up, y'all? I'm Torre, and this is Rap Latte.
And I am King Green, and these are deeper conversations about hip hop. We got Josh Johnson in the house. What's popping?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good, Good day.
That's
Josh
good.
is my kind of comedian, hysterical, brilliant. You see him on The Daily Show. You're on tour right now. They're going to catch you where, in Utah tomorrow?
Yeah, so Salt Lake City tomorrow and then Vegas this weekend. And then gonna be going all over the South and stuff.
All
Dope.
right. We'll let them know about your website where they can find the tour dates when you come closer to them. But the halftime show is been a huge thing in your stand-up recently. I'm curious what you thought of the whole show.
I thought it was great. I thought it was one of those things where it's very difficult to have because of how hip hop and rap are to perform and how close to spoken word it is with the music and everything. And most artists don't necessarily create spectacle at their shows because you're there for them and what they have to say specifically. I thought it was great, and I thought that there was plenty of not just like symbolism to potentially like the beef or whatever, but also for the greater narrative of the American game that we see from the beginning to end, and how the game is this sort of triple entendre thing that's happening the
Yeah.
entire time. So I thought that was really really fun. I really enjoyed it when I was watching it, and like I said in my set, I watched it on Tubi, and Tubi knocked it out of the park. That was a great mix. That was,
It's their
man,
moment to
Tubi came
shine.
through.
Tubi had a
Yeah.
better mix than.
What was the triple entendre that you saw in the game of it all, right?
Oh yeah, so I'm not going to pretend that I caught everything. And there's also, I will say, because it's Kendrick and because people go fishing for the Easter eggs, there were people
Mhm.
who were like completely off on lots of things. Like they'd be like, "Oh, Samuel L. Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson. Drake took a L. That's Samuel L. Jackson. Drake compares himself to Michael Jackson. That's Samuel L. Jackson." Like I think that there's a
That's
lot of
valid.
that going on. But
Yeah.
the triple entendre I'm talking about is the great American game, which Samuel Jackson calls it up top, which is both for football, for the sort of metaphorical game that they're about to play, and for the game board. One second, sorry. Those are the office announcements. My bad.
That's all.
So there's the game that is also being played on the game board that is the theme of the show, right? And
Mhm.
so I thought it was really cool the way that they even began it with "Start Here," and that's where Kendrick is rapping from his GNX snippet. And then some people didn't catch this, but right as Euphoria plays, it says "Warning, wrong way."
Yeah, yeah,
Which I
yeah.
think is both a little bit of an allusion to the beef, but since Euphoria was almost like this friendly fade warning shot, and then at the end it says game over for the game that they've been playing throughout, which is the game pieces and the show, game over for where we land from the sort of Uncle Sam until now, and then game over for the beef. So I thought that
Yeah.
those things were fun little nods throughout.
I look at it like it's 30% about the beef, but mostly he's talking about America, and he's gonna make his
Yeah.
little Drake allusions, but more
Mhm.
more like, I'm at the Super Bowl, biggest American platform, like Beyonce. I'm gonna make a critical statement toward America that is really pro-black and is challenging to America, but is also black centric, right? So, when I'm like the game, you're really talking about capitalism that traps all of us,
Exactly. Yeah.
these sort of things, right? The relationship to white supremacy that is the conversation with Uncle Sam, Uncle Tom, like that, right? Like I think most of it was
It's
about
all
his relationship to
yeah, it's all
America.
meta commentary. I feel like even giving it just three, being like it's a triple entendre, it's just meta commentary where it's the game, like you said, with capitalism, the game that he has to play. Also, we got to remember that Kendrick's always talking about himself. People like to forget about that. It's like Sam's telling him that you need to play the game right. You need to do this exactly how everybody else does a halftime show. You need to play the songs that people like, sing and dance, shuck and jive, right? So that part of it, then the American capitalism part, as well as the football part, as well as the game that he's playing with Drake. And Drake is just like a placeholder and enemy for like what you were talking about with black people versus the outsiders, or feeling like an outsider, and then this is the enemy just making us this way, even though we built this country. So it's beautiful. And I want to go to something to you, Josh, where I saw this clip. Friend sent me this clip of you talking about what was your it was a quotable, so I gotta say it right. You said that entertainment will not be your salvation. That's a bar, Josh. That is a freaking, you said
Oh, thanks,
entertainment.
man.
That is a bar. I was like, this man hit it. So entertainment will not be your salvation. And a lot of people felt like there was people who were like, this is a revolutionary statement, but it's not enough. Or what exactly did he say? Why don't you just overtly say it? Trump's right there. Why don't you do that? And like
Yeah,
you,
like
are like, are you serious? Like, is that what he needs to do in this moment?
yeah. Because also, even if he tried to do that, let's say that Kendrick sees himself as this full-on savior who is going to save America with the Super Bowl halftime show, even though we just had an election. Okay,
Right?
let's say he sees himself that way. Even if he tried to do that, Trump left.
Bounce.
Like the dude left because the Chiefs were losing very badly,
Very.
and he had already picked him to win on the plane, and now he doesn't want to be associated with a loser, and so he skedaddled. And so
Exactly.
it's like, even if he had this whole thing planned for Trump, where he's like, yeah, and I'm gonna show him, I'm gonna make him watch. We're gonna have the revolutionary television show with the halftime show. This man not gonna be ready. He's not gonna know what to do with himself. Oh, he left. Okay, I guess I'll keep doing it. Maybe he'll watch eventually.
That's the thing. People like really. It's like what I just, that whole entertainment thing. And I'm gonna go ask you this: is like, you're an artist, you're up there, and you do have a lot of political points in commentary, right? Do you feel like it's artist' place, or these rappers? Let's go specifically to rappers' place to speak about this. Do you want that just as an audience member, a listener? Do you want rappers to start talking about this shit that we are in right now?
I I think it's anyone's place to talk about what they know about. I don't look at somebody as like they shouldn't talk about this thing because they play basketball or because of whatever. I look at it as like, look, these people, anyone who's like living in the US and or is affected by US policy, that is versed enough in it to speak up and feels like they have something to say. Who am I to tell them like, actually no, you have nothing to say, or this isn't your place to talk or anything? Like, I'm open to, um, maybe it's just a thing with me, so I'm not telling other people what to do, but I'm open to everyone's opinion on everything, even when I think that they may not have the the breadth of knowledge to give great insight. You could be
Hmm.
wrong. Now I'm over here learning something from someone who I thought knew nothing about. Uh, I thought they knew nothing about whatever the topic is, but because I let them speak and because I empowered them to like voice their concerns about something or give me their insight, now I might potentially be learning from them, and I thought they had nothing to say. And I think that that's the situation where a lot of people find their hip hop artists in, where you think this guy is just good with words and he raps, or it's like poetry to a good beat or something like that, but then you find that whoever it is, and even if we left Kendrick out of it for a second and we were talking about like a Vince Staples or a Vic Mensa,
Hmm.
or anybody in that realm, if they have something to say about something that they're knowledgeable about, then I think that that's the respectful thing to hear people out.
Who are your favorite MCs?
You're
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it goes, I think Kendrick, Nas, I love J. Cole. Uh, and then I feel like Eminem shaped a big part of my teens. And then um, then it gets hairy. Then it gets into all the stuff everybody says. But I also really love people who might not be on that world stage as big as far as like touring and stuff. So like Atmosphere and um, I really enjoy what I'm trying to think of his name right now because he was like someone who I held tightly because it was only I liked a little bit of I'm gonna look up his name. So this is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
For sure.
This
It's
is
not a
you're
test.
supposed to have it on hand. You're supposed to
Yeah.
know. You're
You know
supposed to
your
know who you
tops.
are. But no, I mean those are sort of like my tops.
Atmosphere
Like
is
obviously there's
is a
like
cool pick too. I like Atmosphere. What makes me also wonder, like, where are you from exactly? Like, where were you, like, grew up?
I
Like,
grew
where'd
up
you go to high school?
in Louisiana.
Say it again.
Yeah. So I grew up in Louisiana. So
Louisiana. All right.
yeah, I okay, so I did listen to some Boosie back in the day, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like Boosie sort of lost me in the post-incarceration years, you know?
Yeah.
Because
I feel like
you're very kind of New York lyrical backpacker kind of vibe in your taste. Like not
mhm,
Kenny is
mhm,
well, you just talked about this. Like Kenny is part of that New York hyper lyrical sort of energy, that sort of tradition,
And
even though
aesthetic.
obviously
mhm,
he's that aesthetic, even though he's
mhm.
Compton. So I think that's interesting. Like you're a Southerner, but but you really gravitate toward that heady, intellectual, lyrical, hard New York sound.
Yeah, like there's Zero, um, who I could be wrong about this, but I think might be out of New Orleans, and
Mm.
then um, Frankie Tsunami, who's like not as well known, but I really like
Mm-hmm.
everything that he does. So it's like there are some people where I get really excited about them in a way because I feel like whatever spark someone lights up for you in whatever genre of music, I think that there's definitely something there. And so I don't really believe in like I understand one hit wonders for commercial success, but I think that anyone who can touch on something that's inside you in that moment that intensely can probably do it again as long as they stay on their same wavelength of creativity and understanding and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to like follow people just because of one song sometimes because I'm like maybe
Mm.
the next 10 songs don't do it, but the way that I connected with this song is
Yeah.
crazy, especially when you can tell someone's not just moving commercially, you know?
Mm.
I completely agree with that. When you get something from somebody and it's different, you're just like, "Oh, wait, this is different. It hit me. I felt it for real." So you want to see where he's gonna go. And sometimes, it usually happens, it's like it's an underground or independent rapper, and they do something different. It's very new, but as they're trying to get bigger, you see them kind of chasing a sound, right? Like they're kind of getting in the mix of the mainstream stuff. So you're waiting for them to kind of find themselves again. And sometimes it happens,
Yeah,
sometimes it don't. Because I've seen rappers switch
I can't
up completely.
remember. Yeah, like I can't
Yeah.
remember who was having this conversation, but it was really interesting where you might be able like y'all probably know before I can remember who it was, but there was
Mhm.
an interview and this artist was talking about how he's like, I'm 37. I don't have anything in common with 15-year-olds. So
Yeah.
like that's just gonna be what the sound is. The sound is gonna be where I'm at now. And if some kids happen to whether
Enjoy
their
it.
parents are going through something or they happen to find it and connect with it, that's great. But I'm not trying to make something to get the kids dancing because I'm not dancing with them.
And it's weird,
this is
and it's a weird idea that you need to be 37 talking to kids. Like, first of all, they're not the even biggest demographic in the United States. It's like not even a great
Yeah, yeah,
idea and they don't even got no damn money too. Like the people who are actually
yeah, yeah,
making a
yeah.
lot of money are people who are appealing to a large fan base, but the people who are paying for it is usually millennials and older, right? But
Also,
go
yeah.
ahead. You
Oh
said
no,
also.
just sorry. Ironically, being as niche and to yourself as possible is how you reach universality with your art. You know, like
Exactly.
you, if you've ever had your heart broken, then way more people are going to identify with that than like, oh yeah, we're all, we're all at the club. It's like, all
Yeah.
right, that's a phase. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But
this,
I think
this
that
That's
go
an
ahead,
old
Josh.
concept too. That is an old concept. He said that's a phase, but that's an old concept too. You know, like
yeah,
the club song is not even a thing anymore, but people will still think about that like it's a commercial song. Like there is no such thing as a club song anymore. We used to have
Why?
songs.
What do
There,
you mean?
there used to be
Why?
songs like everybody in the club get tipsy and songs
Yeah.
that are about the club. Songs are not
Yeah.
really about the club anymore. They
You
used to
mean,
be in early
wait,
2000s.
you mean for the club? Because there are a lot of club,
About the club. I'm saying
but
there's
club songs
song.
can be for the, but club songs don't have to be about the club, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about club songs being about the club. That's what I'm saying. Songs that are about the club are not things that
I
really
see what you're saying.
exist
Yeah.
anymore. But and that's used to be a thing that you have to do. Is like, oh, this one's for the club, this one's for this. But if a whole sound is trap, we're talking about trap came in to the atmosphere and like I'm gonna say mainstreamly like 2013, 2012, and it hasn't gone nowhere. Trap came in
hmm
and just keeps evolving in its own space,
hmm
and we all just kind of understand that sound, and it became the core of hip hop, like that trap sound, like 808s and shit. So, but I'm saying before back then, it used to be like we're talking about Lil Jon and shit like that. That's club. They're talking about being in when I'm outside in the club. You know what I'm saying? Bone Crusher and shit.
Yeah.
You have to have that shit. Now it's not really about that because people don't even go to the club in the same capacity. You know, people don't go to the club to like get buck and party and dance. It's more so to be seen. You know what I'm saying? It's like I got to go out there and be seen.
I mean, if I'm gonna have a long-term relationship with an MC, like a pause, like a 10-year sort of listen to your music, go to your tours, whatever. So we're like, you gotta grow. I want to see you be a different person in your 40s than you were when you were, versus what you were talking about and what you
In
were
your 20s,
doing
yeah.
in your 20s. And if you don't grow over like a 10-year period or even a 7-year period, I'm like, what's going on with you? Like, aren't you like wanting new things? Aren't you having new experiences? Like, and this is part of we see like Jay-Z has grown. He's clearly not doing the things he was doing when he was younger, and he's talking about money and Range Rovers, these sort of things. Now he's talking about Warhols and money and like LA money, like different kind of money, billionaire money rather than street money. But like part of the big critique of Drake is that he hasn't grown. And it's been like 10 years that he's still saying the same things. He's still in the same subject matter. And that it just makes you want to pull your hair out, and it makes them seem not authentic because every human being is growing. So if you are an artist and you're not growing, then there's something wrong with this whole relationship. Pause.
So
I'm just saying pause
I
because
do
Boone
have
is getting
to
red.
slightly disagree here. Every individual is not growing. I don't know if you've known some of these 42-year-olds on the couch, but they're big fans of their artists not growing. They are.
Yeah.
There's nothing that makes you feel at home being 42 on your mama's couch than your favorite artist not growing. That's
that part. I mean, yeah, you want them to grow and you want people to grow, but you do want you growth doesn't always have to be like we said with Pusha or like Freddie Gibbs. Like Freddie Gibbs, the music is growing out around him. He's kind of still has the same content. Maybe there's certain things come from an older, mature perspective, but Freddie Gibbs's projects, he's gonna have Alchemist do this project. Before that, he was had the trap sound. Shit grows in different ways. So as if you are growing as an artist, people will grow with you. But I do feel you that yes, if everybody's stunted and we're in like this Peter Pan generation, you're gonna want to listen to the same songs you were listening to when you were heartbroken at 19 years old in college, and you want to be like, "Fuck that nigga," you know what I'm saying? You just might want to sing that. so I agree. There's definitely people who
it
want to do
is
that.
it, it is just tough because it's like, okay, I do believe anybody should be able to like do what they want and express themselves how they authentically feel. That being said, it's a tough sell when you 42 on the couch and somebody is over here doing like sneak disses at their ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, and you're like, I feel that. I really feel that. It's
It
like,
is.
nah, man, like we should be past this now.
We would hope. We
It's a
would
very
hope.
20-year-old thing to feel. You know what I mean? Like I'll even say this. If you not saying age should dictate everything, because there are obviously like young people that get into art forms like jazz that have both a timeless effect and might be seen as like a bit more mature of a genre or something. But if
Hmm.
you are making music, I think it almost to what you've been saying, it's almost like a relationship, and not saying that you have to treat it like, oh, I don't want anybody 20 years older than me to vibe with what I'm saying. But once again, I feel like that's why when you reach into your creativity and you talk about something that is like bigger and more timeless than just the sort of like surface level stuff, you end up building connection with people who are from all these different walks of life. It ends up, in my opinion at least, not necessarily always becoming more commercially successful, but you end up having like real fans behind you because you touched them in a moment where they needed something. And I think
Hmm.
that if you're able to do that, like to me, that's such a miracle. That's such a miracle that you can have a thought in your head, you can share it with
Hmm.
the world, and then someone somewhere that you will never meet is like, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. And I
Or
think
Give
that
exactly what I
me,
was
give
thinking.
me,
are,
give me an example of
yeah,
that for
exactly.
you. Like, give me an example of that for you, a song or an album that you're like, that freaking touched me. Like he or she was like, said the thing that I needed to hear.
Um, I would say Count Me Out was like that.
Okay.
When I first heard Count Me Out, I was at a I won't say I was in the worst place, but I was not in a great place. And you know, I know that like maybe on the surface it looks like every year has been incrementally better than the year before and everything. And to a certain degree that's been true, but I think both from a creative standpoint and from like a career path vision, I was in some real trouble with just me alone by myself in my room, like figuring out what was next. And so
Hmm.
when I
Mm.
heard Count Me Out, I was like, oh yeah, like this is the thing. This is everything that I've been feeling, and not in a sort of like high school dramatic way. Like, you know how some people will read a horoscope and be like, that's so me. And it's like,
Me. Yeah.
really? Really? but th- but this was something where obviously this person's on their own journey and they're also dealing with things I've never dealt with and hope to not deal with, but the way that they've expressed it in words is exactly what was missing in the conversations I was having with myself about what was next.
Yeah, that's dope. I'm interested in, because for me that a song like that was "Black of the Berry" off of T-Pab, and that had no,
Hmm.
it that just hit me because of thinking of where I and my people have been hypocrites. Right? It's like saying that I'm the biggest
Mm.
hypocrite of 2016, and it's like thinking about that. I also interested for you, Toure. What has a song done, like a rap song, done that to you? Answer your own question.
No, it's a. I thank you for turning back on me. I was trying to think of an answer of something that really. I mean, I would. I'm going to do it a little bit differently, but like the music
Was
that
it Sugar
Public
Hill
Enemy was
Gang?
making. Fuck you. The music that. Fuck you. So fuck
Old
you.
ass, old ass nigga. But go ahead.
You're a dick. The music that Public Enemy was making, especially on their second and third
Yeah.
albums, was really critical to where I was going as a person and developing as a Black nationalist and understanding Black political thought. And they
Mm.
were there for me as like, yes, you're on the right path. And also, you've never heard of Franz Fanon. You probably don't hear of Louis Farrakhan because Farrakhan couldn't get on television to get arrested at that point, right? If he'd gotten arrested, they still wouldn't have put it on television. They had blacked him out at that point. So Chuck D mentioning him to a teenager was like, who's that Chuck D is looking up to and extolling? And so he's mentioning names, he's mentioning concepts, he's mentioning a way to be a cool intellectual and a strong Black person in the world. And that was like, wow, like I like that. I want to be like that. I like how he's moving. So that was really valuable for me.
I hope that's where things are going. And the question I asked you, Josh, of like, do you think it's up to the artist? It's like, yeah, I agree with you. It's like artists need to do what the hell they want because that's what artists do. You know what I'm saying? You do what the hell you want, and speaking your truth is so important. And if all you care about is like interior design, I want to go to your freaking Instagram and I want to see the craziest interior design. I don't need you to come out here and start like making your interior design about the political state that we're in. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do love that back in the day, time periods that I wasn't in, but I have visuals for like no, but some of it I was a kid at where it's like no tribe.
Nah. What a dig! Nah, own it, man. Own the dig.
I go in there as much as I can. I got to.
He doesn't even talk. He doesn't usually even talk like this. He doesn't even make these jokes normally. He's trying to get his shit off now.
I call you old all the time.
Actually, you know what?
No, but let me just say about the HBCU thing. Let me just say the fact that people used to wear Howard sweaters as like it was Gucci and Louis Vuitton at one point in time. I can't believe that happened, and that's such a beautiful thing that like Black people had medallions and freaking Howard sweaters and HBCU clothing as like it was Gucci and shit. But anyways, go ahead.
So you got to see the way, Josh, this nigga opens his show, which is actually really brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Because I just caught him on tour in New York. There's, 50, 75 people in the room. He's number 2 on the bill. So they didn't come to see him, you know what I mean? So he gets on stage. He's like, hey, y'all, like, I'm doing my thing. And some of the crowd is interested. And some of the crowd is like, I'm drinking my beer. I'm talking to this girl. And so he goes, my dream, and as soon as you say that, right, the audience is like clued in, like, oh, he's talking about his dreams, is to be a stand-up comedian. And now it's like, is he serious? Is it a joke? And like, we're all like getting captivated. And I want you to help me make my dream come true. And now we're like invested in the story. Now everyone's starting to pay attention. I'm going to walk off and come back and you applaud me like I'm a stand-up comedian. And then I'm going to get some jokes off. Right,
completely.
And he did that, and now we're all focused on the crowd on the stage, applauding him. And what was your joke that you said?
The joke. It's more so of a narrative. I just kind of made a story, so it's more so me setting up the fact. Oh yeah, I missed 2 flights to try to get to the first show, and I'm on a tour with just white rappers, and they're all on time and shit. So I made a whole joke about like me being not on time and missing 2 flights and it being my fault. And then so I get a little laugh out of that. I forgot the exact jokes, but I literally just get on stage.
You said, I missed 2 flights. The first flight was my fault, but the second flight was also my fault. And I don't know what the fuck I was
Yeah. Got a little laugh out of this shit. But I just knew that it will disarm a crowd for me to tell them that like I want to be a comedian. So I could now tell you stories and I could set up what my songs are about. So I just would talk and be like, yo, this first song's about how rap allows me to travel around the world. And it's about like, this is not about me flexing that I can go here and here, but like the chorus first line is I go to Miami just for dinner. I go to Miami just for dinner. That's could sound like a flex, but it's really me saying that after I went to, and I said, I went to Japan for a pickup. But after I went to Japan, I wanted to see my mom. I wanted to get a home cooked meal. So it's such a wholesome thing that I made it feel like a flex, and the crowd understood it. And it's like I could tell them the story because comedy is that. I mean, I know I'm not a stand-up comedian, but storytelling is a thread through comedy and rap, which performing is like makes sense to do it that way.
Josh, can you talk about parallels you see between what you do and what rappers do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say rappers do it better because people, 100%. People want rappers to do it again.
You can't tell the same joke twice.
Not at the same show. Imagine,
But
imagine if you tried to do a pop out like Kendrick did. Kendrick did not like us 5 times, and we enjoyed each time more
yeah,
than the last time. Imagine if I
facts.
tried to do the same joke five
Five
times,
times.
and everybody knows the joke already. They already know the joke word for word. So then I do the joke that they will kill me the fifth time.
That's actually
They will
hilarious.
murder me.
Well, hold on. You remind me of a Kristen Shaw bit, right? Which taps into
Okay.
the whole alt comedian thing, right? Where she does a
Hmm.
punchline like 100 times in a row. And like the first 5 times you're like, this is funny. And then the next 5, you're like, what the fuck is she doing? And then you want to pull your hair out.
Hmm.
And then it's funny again. Because it's so many,
Yeah.
it's 25 times and it's ridiculous. And then it's annoying again. And then it's funny again. And it's so absurd. Your mind is blown. And so the ridiculous repetition makes it a whole, right. And that's Andy Kaufman and the whole, but like there is a
Absurdity
realm
and
of
shit.
comedy that's pushing that line.
Oh,
Yeah.
realm.
I mean, I don't know if I tell you can stop me if I already told you the story, but I don't know if I ever told you about the Andy Kaufman bit that he did at the Comedy Store,
No, tell us
where
the story.
basically he goes up and he goes up and he's doing all this weird stuff. Like I think a little bit of it is prop stuff, a little bit of it is like weird all like not ending the story, just starting another story, and then the next story ends the last story, but he's telling it all out of order and stuff. And he's just bombing. He's just like bombing horribly. And then he starts the set all over again, right? So then people start booing him. And so then he starts crying and he goes, I'm really sorry. I was just trying to do a good show for you. Like, I really thought y'all would find that funny and like it. And then next up was Richard Pryor. And so Richard Pryor goes up and he's like, I can't believe what y'all just did to my friend. Like, that's so disrespectful. Like we as comedians, we write our stuff. We hope you'll like it. In fact, I'm not even gonna start yet. I'm gonna go backstage again. I'm gonna bring my friend Andy out, and I want you to be respectful. Like y'all, for real. Like this is unacceptable. What I just saw.
It's
So he
amazing.
brings Andy Kaufman back out again. And Andy Kaufman repeats all the jokes from before.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And
Do they get
it's
it
like I'm sure
that
I'm
time?
butchering. No, everyone was even madder, but it felt like it was just for the two of them because it was like this thing where the thing in real time is not funny.
Funny. Yeah.
Repeating the story will always be funny forever. And
Exactly.
that's such a crazy thing to me. That's like
Yeah,
uh
it's that's what I just thought about when you said it. It's like it's that he's thinking about us right now, being able to tell this thing and it's gonna be funny then, and to have that type of insight or foresight, that shit's crazy. To have that type of vision, like, yo,
yeah.
I'm going to make this so uncomfortable right now, but in 2025, someone's gonna watch me on fucking uh what's that shit with the old Carson, the Carson show or
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Carson.
yeah, Johnny Carson. You see, Johnny Carson, and someone's gonna laugh about that shit. I forgot about Johnny Carson. I never saw it in real time. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Never
Wow.
seen Johnny Carson in real.
Wow. Wow.
Never
Wow.
seen
You're
Johnny.
such a baby. Your youth is not like
Oh,
some virtue, nigga.
it
Like, you don't
isn't.
care.
It isn't. It isn't a
We're not
virtue, but it's just
impressed that
funny.
you're young.
I am not young at all. I'm old as fuck.
I
But
know. I know. That's why your age looks so flag. You're not even young.
I'm not even young. I'm the bald one making fun of this nigga. But well, no, but the comedy rapper shit. There's always this idea, and I want to know. I know you wrote some raps before. I know you freestyled before, correct? At some point in time in your life, Josh.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Have you
Ugh.
ever wrote a rap before?
You
You don't want to
know,
admit to it.
in that I have written down that words that rhymed were put together, yes, but I have never tried to like Oh, that's not
Did you did you
that's not me.
not have you never you never even for a second thought like, "Oh, I could do
Uh,
that?"
like a freestyle.
Oh, I saw it. I saw it and wanted to do it, but didn't think. Okay, I look at rapping, especially like whether it's the breath control, the being on beat, or knowing what timing you want to be on, especially where you want your words to hit. I guess I take it so seriously that I look at it like dunking. And I like watching people dunk. I've never,
You never ducked. It's like I like,
no,
But it's
I
cool when
no.
other
respect the
people
hell out
do it.
of that because most
Yeah,
people.
no, it's very dope when other people do it. And I will actually tune in to the dunk competition every year. But as far as me on the court, maybe if I am alone and I'm sure there's no cameras, I'll see if I got a little bit more on my vertical. But I'm not running up to the court.
And try to dunk the ball.
Hey,
So you,
y'all, watch this.
so you
Who
broke
was the
down the rap.
first who or what was the first hip hop like thing, song or artist that you were like, "Oh, I love that shit."
Um, hmm, that's a very good question. I think it's in between for when it happened, it's in
Yeah.
between. I can't remember what I heard first, whether it was Tupac or Eminem. But I
Okay.
remember like I was also like super sheltered as a kid, as much as you possibly can be in the environment
Mm.
that I was in. And so
Okay.
I feel like I did not get to be alone with the music for myself for a few years before, like maybe I had to be like 10 when I finally could be like like I finally got a radio in my room and could be alone with the music, because up until then it was just like we listened to music in the car, but my mom always had it on like um Christian
Mm.
like mainstream music. And
Mm.
so when I was finally like alone with music, I can't remember what I heard on the radio first, but it was like between the two of them.
That's crazy. Tupac or
That's pretty
Eminem?
high. That's pretty
Yeah.
high.
It's like let me get
Yeah,
Tupac or
yeah. I
Eminem.
mean, yeah, when I tell you my mom was trying to keep me on the right track exactly, I like I did not get much time like as a little baby, you know what I mean? I did not get much time alone to take in anything that could be considered untoward, you know?
I mean,
Mm.
in that period, hip hop was considered part of going down the wrong path. And if you're like listening to
Yeah,
rap,
exactly.
you might be poisoning your brain and headed toward jail in the streets and blah, blah, blah. And like, seriously, boomers, you think we're gonna listen to the music and freak? Like, what are you talking about? I don't think anybody did that, but like that was the whole
I don't know
So
about
if your
that.
mom was
I would want to push
if your
back on
mom
that.
if your
50
mom was
Cent era.
what are you saying about 50?
I'm
You're saying 50 Cent made people want to go into the street when they weren't there already?
Yep. Guaranteed.
I definitely
100%.
think that 50 Cent's music made you feel tougher
What?
than you are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think that the way that that somebody walks out of a movie like okay, I'll give you an example. The same way that a dude walks out of John Wick out of the
Mm-hmm.
theater.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he knows he can't just run up and shoot somebody in the head. But
Right.
there's a little inkling of like, I wish somebody would try me right. Mm.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what I think 50 Cent had for people, where it was like there's an energy to it where you were then like, oh,
I
I
was
get to, it's literally why people cosplay within the culture, because they're like, I get to
exactly.
be kind of like this by ingesting it, you know?
100%. And that
Yeah.
that is part of what we do or rappers do, what hip hop does for people, that it lets you feel like you're in the hood, you're in the drug deal, you're in the situation without like a movie, without having to actually do it. But I remember the last Pusha album came out, and there was a small trend on TikTok when people would go to a friend and say, basically, I heard that new Pusha album and I'm thinking about selling coke. And the other person would be like, no, money, that's ridiculous. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And like, I don't know how many people listen to and previously had no ability to do so and listen to 50 or Pusha or NWA
Hmm.
or whoever
I'm
and
gonna let
was
you know from
like,
personal experience. 14 years old, listening to 14, 15 years old, listening to actually no, 16 years, 15 years old, listening to 50 Cent and knowing my friends in the circle. Yes, niggas was dumb. Niggas did dumb shit. Niggas wanted to be thugs. Niggas was out here. Like, I'm talking about, there's people who had about that life. Now their crew just multiplied overnight after the album dropped, because the niggas who weren't about that life were like, look, I just gotta do that. Their crew multiplied. It was
Yeah,
used to be 7
yeah.
dudes and they was street dudes, right? Now it's 27 dudes. Where'd you get the rest of these niggas? It's like
Now
100%
you also have to
influence.
remember.
that is
You also
crazy.
have to
That is
Crazy.
remember that you have to remember 50's story, because he
right.
also got shot and lived. So now
Exactly.
people are
9
like,
times.
"Oh, it doesn't hurt that much. Let me go
Exactly.
ahead and be out in these streets."
Yeah, and if I get this special 50 Cent G Unit wife beater, I can't get hurt. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, you think that you're
I
gonna, if
mean,
you that's there's literally people from who are, especially he was under Eminem, right? So he was appealing to white people. They were doing the same thing and feeling the same way, like, yo, I'm like 50 Cent, and now I'm a thug out of
you
nowhere.
know, it's crazy about. I mean, that's crazy. That whole story is nuts. Um, there's something about 50 Cent. I mean, like that there was the greatest elevator pitch in the history of hip hop of like he got shot 9 times. Everybody knew that before we
Yep.
even heard in the club, right? It was like that was his first hit record. Um, but when he got shot 9 times, he caught one in the jaw. So there's a chunk of his jaw missing, like a
Mm-hmm.
whole like a U, like here. And if you listen to his early records, like How to Rob, the voice is kind of chirpy. It's not memorable. It's not ominous. And when he has basically a hole in his jaw, the sound becomes deeper, it becomes more ominous, it becomes more unique, like that nobody else can make that vocal sound. And that sound is what he blows up on. He didn't sound like the in the club 50 Cent when he was younger, when he was making the mixtapes and shit like that. His whole sound, the
He's
mixtapes was post
also
getting shot, but like
he's all
he sound changed.
his sound changed, yeah. And he also is the first rapper. He also was fearless too after getting shot. He was also the first New York rapper to not really sound like he's from New York. He had like a southern drawl to him, and he was singing,
Yes.
and it felt
Yes.
southern out of it. You know, say you a gangster. Have
Yes.
you did with that? I mean, like, you don't.
Very
I'm like,
melodic.
where very melodic. And it's like, where's this person from? And he felt more uh, globally appealing and stuff like that. So that's part of it too. And definitely, yeah, he
I
had a
mean,
hole in his mouth.
he was a New Yorker who was not trying to be the best rapper
Yeah.
in the city. He was like, "I'm tough." He
Yeah,
got
like
all
Yeah.
those aspirations. Yeah, those like sort of global aspirations towards success, and also like the thing that I think is catching on a bit more, which I do like, is rappers that have that um lean towards knowing when in a project, or at least in a series of singles, to go on what some would call like the softer R&B side, because I think it shows a versatility that not every artist has. Like, there are some
Mm.
people who can just do this one thing very well,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are people who know when to like put together something that shows that they do other things. Because
Mm.
I think, to what you're saying, there are some people who just want to be the best New York rapper so badly that they will make the same song 15 times, trying to make a better version of the same song to make sure that it's
Mm-hmm.
better than every other person's version of that song. Whereas like 50 Cent was able to do like In the Club, Candy Shop, um, Hate It or Love It, like, and all of it had a, a slight different feeling to it, not just because it was a different song, but also because it was like that's it. Candy Shop is one of those songs where I was like, this to me, I was like, this is crazy for a rapper this tough to be doing this song because it's like it is a bit playful. It is a bit like cool, and it felt like the way that song felt like the way that thugs dance. Because you know how thugs
Mhm,
don't really
mhm,
dance?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They give
mhm,
you
mhm,
like
mhm.
a couple of
Little
those
two-step.
movements to where they're
Mhm,
still cool. They're still like cool. They're not fully letting loose, but there's also like a little bit of fun in the dance. They're like they got
mhm.
that like that's
That
my
bounce to
favorite is when somebody dances the way that they fight. That's oh,
when
have you
somebody
seen that?
dances the way they
Yeah, I'm
fight.
sure I'm sure you've been to a club and you've seen somebody, they're literally dancing with their girl in front of them, but they're like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Dancing
just
the way
in
they fight's
case,
crazy. Just in case, it's
just
like
in case.
I don't. You need to know that I will fight you. You know what I'm saying? I'm with my girl right now.
Mhm.
But saying that about Candy Shop, actually, I don't know why I never even thought about it in that way. In the sense of like that song is corny as fuck. Like that
Yeah.
chorus is
Do you think
that.
that song's corny?
No, I like the song, but I'm saying I didn't realize that that song is like a Target commercial. Like, I'll take you to the candy shop. But
Do, do, do.
we understand that statement in a different way. But if you're like, I never heard it from like someone who doesn't listen to rap or understand the culture or know who 50 Cent is at all. Like, I just right now, after you said that, I heard it as like a little 13-year-old girl hearing that song. She's just like, oh, I'll take you to the candy shop. You're not thinking about who 50 Cent is truly and where he's coming from. You know what I'm trying to say? Like those literal words, I'll take you to the candy shop, is not freaking my neck, my back, lick my, you know what I'm trying to say? That is
Yeah,
provocative,
yeah, yeah.
actual
I
literal
no, no,
words.
no. I
I
see what
never
you're
thought
saying, but
about that.
that's also what I mean though. It's like there's something to the idea of knowing when I need to be on the radio and when I need to just speak to my fans. And
Yeah.
that's what I think some New York rappers didn't have. They were like, "No, I'm gonna make everybody a fan through the power of hip hop, and I'm just gonna speak. I'm
Through the
I'm just gonna
power of
spit
hip
so
hop.
fast and so I'm gonna be so ill on this record that I'll be undeniable." And then, sure enough, you're like, the whole album sounds the same.
Mm,
And then someone like 50 Cent comes and he's like, "Hey, I have this thing. I'm checking all of these boxes that fall within the
that's the part.
genre." And they're almost like genre expanding a little bit because how often, at least in that time, we're talking about this very particular
Yep.
4 year
Yeah.
period. How often did you really see that much like R&B or slow jams incorporated
It was
with
really Ja
something that
Rule
was
only.
pure?
It was really Ja Rule, and he clowned him for doing it and then did it himself, which is also hilarious. And I want to speak to this the idea of that, like 50 Cent, what made him be able to do that is that his mixtape era, which is when I
Yes.
started
Mhm.
getting into him, he was the
Yes.
first artist. And I
Yes.
was talking about this in my about needing mixtapes again. He's the first artist to take other people's beats and then make an entire new bop out of it. Like he did that. He's the first one to like there's a chorus, there's a pre-chorus, there's a bridge. He'd make a song out of the beat whereas usually freestyles would be on mixtapes or you're just trying like you said get your real bars off and I want to sound like the hardest spitter in the world. He was like I'm going to make a song that the girls want to
Mhm.
sing. I'm gonna make the song the street song. I'm gonna make everybody's type of song. Every type of hit song that comes from all these niches, I can do that. And then he did that on his album. He was literally
He
every
made
Yeah.
rapper. He was
he
Thanos. He
made
Thanos the whole game.
he made 3 or 4 albums that he gave away for free
Yeah.
ahead of Get Rich or Die Trying. And part of the point was that they were free. So when we go out into the mixtape marketplace, the guys were just, and you take this too. Right. Well, I want the DJ Clue. I want the DJ Who Kid. Okay. And also
Mm-hmm.
take this too. Or they'd sell it for cheaper because they got them for free or whatever. So we were inundated
Yeah.
with 50 Cent albums, plural. He made 3 or 4 of these joints.
Yep.
So we, in a mixtape level, you knew who he was before. Hold on. I think we have time for one more. And the other day,
Mhm.
Josh, I was saying obviously I can't rap, I can't make music, but I understand if I could, I would be like De La Soul. Like that's what would come out of me if I could use the technology the right way. If you could make music, like who do you see in the history of hip hop who you're like, that's who I would be? And it's not even necessarily aspirational. Like we all love to like fly like Jordan, but you're like, that's not who I am. Like who are you really on the hip hop battlefield?
That's gonna be it's gonna be tough because um okay. I'll give you
And
my answer, but let me explain.
I have a guess in my mind of who you might say. Go ahead, I want to hear it.
Well, actually, it might hit harder if you go ahead and give your guess and then I give you my answer.
What?
um the guess that came to mind as you started talking was Q-Tip.
Okay. Okay.
Nope. That ain't it.
It is not Q-Tip, but but I think okay. The the way that I came about the answer is because of I think it would be too leaning into the moment and inauthentic to like say Kendrick or something like that. I
That's what I
think
would say.
that while I respect his like storytelling ability and everything that he does, even down to what the show was, because like symbolism aside, double entendres aside, no one does what he did as far as like here's where I'm at right now. You always play the hits. That's what you're supposed to do. And he was like, I'm gonna tell you a story with a new thing. And I think that that's incredible. I think I would have to say if I were able to make music, it'd be J. Cole.
Okay. True. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I think that I do believe that Kendrick is a better storyteller and I really love stories and lean into stories, but I think as far as like um technical ability and understanding of music, that J. Cole is right up there. He's not up there in a battle sense, but he's up there in
Definitely
terms
not.
of like in
Nah.
terms of talent and in terms of like a real appreciation for what he's doing. I think that anyone who can lean into artistry and like a real respect and understanding of whatever their craft is, the way that like Kendrick and Cole do, is someone who I think any creative can sort of pattern their appreciation and style of what they already do after.
That's
I love
dope.
that. I love that. Josh Johnson, thank you for coming through the show. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Man, come back anytime,
Happy to
man.
have
And I'm gonna
you.
pull up in
Come back
DC, man.
anytime.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hit me up
Well,
for real.
tell them your website so they find you and your shows.
Okay, so you can find me at joshjohnsonComedy.com. If your city is sold out, just join the wait list. I add shows all the time, as many as I can. And I'm on Josh Johnson Comedy on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the places.
Dope.
Thanks, brother. Love you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. You too. I'll see y'all soon.